Hello, I'm Charlie, and I'm going to be talking about some of the gross ways our bodies react in space. I'm going to be talking about snot. Now, have you ever felt the blood rush to your head when you're hanging upside down on the monkey bars? Well, astronauts feel a bit like that when they go into space. Here on the Earth, gravity pulls the blood in our bodies to our legs and also to our feet. But in space and in microgravity, that blood moves up the body towards the chest and also the head. And they sometimes call this puffy head and bird legs. And that's because astronauts have lost some of the blood in their legs, it's moved up their body, but also some of that extra fluid has ended up in their head, which gives them a kind of a puffy face look. Maybe have a look at some astronauts when they're in space and here on the Earth and compare those pictures. You should see a slight difference. All this extra fluid in the head means that sinuses become blocked, their noses become blocked, there's lots of congestion, and that can mean a bit of extra snot. That can also mean that taste becomes a little bit impaired. So for us to be able to taste things well, we need to be able to smell them. In space, if you have a very blocked nose, it's very hard to taste things. So astronauts generally like quite spicy foods. But we're going to be making our very own snotty slime today from some ingredients that you can find in your kitchen. To make this slime, you will need some PVA glue, some water, some bicarb soda, some food colouring, preferably yellow and blue to make a lovely snotty green colour, something to stir it up with, a pot with a lid, and a little bit of eye contact solution. Now to make our slime. First of all, add some PVA glue to your pot. For a pot of this size, you probably need around a tablespoon of PVA glue, but you can judge it by eye, it doesn't have to be exact. Next thing is, we add some water, about the same amount of water as you had for your PVA glue. And this then needs a really good mix. I used a lollipop stick for this, so as to not make a mess of my teaspoons or anything like that. Once that's all mixed up, you then need to decide what colour we're going to make our snot, our slime. I added a little bit of blue and then a little bit of yellow food colouring. This meant I got a really nice dark green colour, but you can add whatever colour you like in whatever amounts. The more yellow you add, the snottier your solution looks, so I added a little bit of extra yellow to my mixture. Give that a good mix up, make sure it's all combined. And it should be quite liquidy at this stage. The next thing you need to add is bicarbonate of soda. For this amount of mixture, I used around about 1/3 of a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda and just sprinkled this over the top. Once that's in, give it another really good mix to make sure that all the powder is dissolved inside the liquid. Again, it's still quite liquidy at this stage. It's not until you add the very last ingredient that it starts to thicken up. And our last ingredient is contact eye solution, so be very careful with this, just a couple of drops, and give it a stir. You'll start to notice very quickly it starts to thicken. But don't stop stirring. The more you stir, the thicker it will get, and you'll start to tighten those bonds between all of your ingredients, and you should get a really, really thick, slimy mixture. If it doesn't thicken up properly, you might want to add a couple more drops of contact solution or a little bit of bicarb. That is your snotty slime. And it should act a bit like a liquid, but also a bit like a solid. It will drip and ooze and flow like a liquid, but if you push hard on it, it'll act a bit like a solid. Now I left this for about 30 minutes. This is one I made a little bit earlier, and if I give it a mix, you can see it acts a bit more like a solid. It also flows still like a liquid. If you move it quickly, it doesn't stick to your fingers and you should be able to get it off quite quickly. And you can break it apart, but it does form one big lump again. It's great to play with. Slime like this is sometimes known as a non-Newtonian fluid because it acts like a fluid, but also acts like a solid. If you want to keep this slime for a little while, pop a lid on it, and it should last for about a week or so before it starts to dry up. Enjoy your slime, everyone.